Gotta check the audio balance. We know the drill. Check the audio balance. Make sure I'm not blowing out anyone's ears. Hello. How's it going? TBH, my fan is loud. My fan is very loud. Was not expecting that one. That's a bit of a shock. Are we good? Do we feel good about this? Yeah, sure. We just want environmental music. That's what we need. That's all we need here. Is this the only stream I've done with my hair like this? Okay. Because I definitely had my hair like this over this winter. Can't remember if I actually put myself together enough to do a stream in that era. It's fine. It happens. Hi. Salutations, friends. My name is Brianna Sukiyama Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar. And it's been a while since I've streamed. My B on that one. It is mostly because of the Scooby-Doo video. That took a lot out of me to record and then to edit. It took a lot. It took a lot. And, would really appreciate it if after this stream you went and checked that out. Would love that. Would love that. So there's that. I am decently further ahead books-wise. I finished this book, and then there are a couple other books that I've already read. I have this book. The next book I'll probably still stream is going to be Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. And then I just finished another book called The Monsters We Defy by Leslie Penelope. And so, yeah, we've got books to chat about. I am not done with the notes for Clap When You Land because I took a lot of notes on that book. That book was beautiful. We will discuss it. I took a lot of notes on that. And then I don't know how many notes I took on The Monsters We Defy, but I most definitely need to, finish Clap When You Land before I'm able to start on that one. And then we're returning back to the planned out schedule of books that I said in my last progress report stream that I did on the vlog channel. So then I'm currently reading The Test by Gracie Irene on Wattpad. We'll keep you updated on how we feel about this book. But yeah, we'll that's currently the read, and then we have, I think I let you know about 5 other books we want to try and read. Lord knows when we'll finish any of them. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for today's book, and that book is none other than You Truly Assumed by Layla Sabrine. This book, I added it to my 5-star book draft, which is where I list out books I think are going to be 5 stars, no rereads, no later books in a series. So only book 1 can be it can be a draft pick, and then I read them, and then I see how well I was at picking out and guessing and selecting these books for this draft, how well I knew myself, and stuff like that. How well I know my own reading preferences, especially since I only got back into reading a couple years ago. But I added this on right before I picked it up because frankly I just didn't. It was the same thing as with Ace of Spades. I didn't actually think I'd ever get a hold of this book, and it came out, and it was available at the library, and so I picked it up and read it. And otherwise, if I had actually had the faith that I'd be able to read this book, I would have put it in there from the very beginning. This was actually one of the few books I knew about that was going to be releasing that I was really anticipating. So this book, what happens? You truly assumed there is a terrorist attack in Washington, D.C., and even though the attacker is not Muslim, it results in a massive wave of Islamophobia throughout the United States and a lot of anti-Muslim hate crimes throughout the United States, because if the United States is going to do one thing, it's bigotry. You have this girl who is in Washington, D.C. Her name is Sabria. She is trying to, like, process her emotions about the whole situation, as well as the, like, bigoted fallout. And her sister turns her onto this one website and is like, hey, just type out your feelings here until you can get a pretty new journal, which, pitch same. Until you can get a pretty new journal that feels like the right place to, write out these emotions. And so she's doing that, and she doesn't realize that it's actually public, and it actually starts to get very big. It attracts other Black Muslim girls that also need connection, need community to help get through this, as well as a lot of other struggles with existing in the United States and probably the world as well. I don't remember if it said if it got international. I think so. She then joins forces with these other two girls, Zakat, who is an artist who wants to make cartoons and drawings and stuff for the blog, and then Farah, who is a tech chick, and she wants to, use code HTML to make it look pretty. And they decide they want to band together to make the blog a safe place for other Black Muslim girls. And the attack happens literally, like, last couple days of school or something, and the girls are now trying to go through their summer, finding their way through life changes that are happening, as well as dealing and processing, is that what I said? Oh well. Processing what's going on with their world and the world at large through these times. I thought the book was I thought it was a really good book. It is this is like the one this is one of the biggest things I would say for this book is, and maybe it's also like I grew up in a pretty racist area. I dealt with extreme racism in elementary school. So because of that, and because I just lived in an area in which I experienced so much racism so early, this book didn't feel like I didn't feel a lot for this book, because there are times where, looking back on it, I know, like, Sabria is doing a lot of volunteer work to help the families that were impacted by the attack, and one of the adults starts giving her microaggressions and stuff and he's the, like, main adult in charge of her group that is working on this volunteer service. And I can see how those things were supposed to feel like rising tension, and how it was supposed to be a buildup, but because of my own experiences with regular racism through life, they didn't register as being that additional tension. That felt less like, oh my god, things are getting worse, things are getting more difficult, how's she gonna get through them, and more like, oh my god, it's a fucking Tuesday, And so because of that, this book doesn't feel YA to me. Like, I can honestly I can see this book being, wait, did I turn on my microphone? I'm 12% sure. Okay. I'm stressed. I can see this being YA for, like, a white kid, honestly. But depending on where you are, I feel like this would probably be a better read for early middle school, late elementary school of a lot of BIPOC and other marginalized kids. Because I feel like at middle school, like, shit I dealt with in elementary school, I can see that being a bit of an early start for me. But I feel like middle school is where like kids get their peak bullying shit and stuff like that. And so I can see middle school being like a real, I would like because this book is a great introduction to racism and bigotry and microaggressions and stuff like that. And I feel like early middle school, like first day of middle school, this is something I would want to use this book to prepare a BIPOC kid with, versus like I said, it feels like just kind of being shown a lot of low level things. These things didn't feel as intense or as they didn't feel as intense or as building, as monumental as the author was probably going for, just because I've just experienced so much of this so early on in life that's why I would say it feels more like a middle grade, just because the racism as it's depicted here just doesn't feel as like something that would, because the reason why this book took me so long to read is because I wasn't feeling those rising actions. I wasn't feeling that rising tension. And so it just kind of felt one note to me. And so I think you would have to get someone earlier in the whole like experience, early in the situation, someone who hasn't experienced racism as head on, which for a lot of BIPOC kids is going to be, you're just going to need someone younger. And that's why I would think this might be better for a younger audience. Another note that I have, this one's actually, I find it slightly funny. So this book has some AAVE, African American Vernacular English, and the way it's done really, really feels like one of two options. One, you had like the editors being like, oh my god, these are black kids, how are they gonna know they're black if they're not using slang, throw it in there. Or two, like the reason why I say that is because it's AAV, a lot of those terms, it is a dialect. It is a language. There are grammar rules to it. There are rhythm rules to it. There are rules to AAVE. And like I, especially like right around the time I read this book, I had several extended discussions with a lot of people, just a lot of black people, talking about how like when AAVE is used wrong, it's real easy to tell. I broke it. It's real easy to tell. Actually, let's skip to the 5-star screen, just so you know. I thought this book was great. But it's really easy to tell when AAVE is used incorrectly. And it's like just something about it just sounds off. And so this is something I noticed in this book, is like there were some points where it just didn't sound exactly how it was supposed to. It didn't sound quite right. And so it felt like either those words were thrown in because they thought it would make it popular with the kids, or B, which I'm starting to think is probably the more likely explanation, is because I think the author just had AAVE in the story and the editor butchered the shit out of the grammar of it. I think it's like, again, it is just another dialect. It is another grammar system than like the typical white American grammar. And I can see the editor not knowing how it works, butchering it. And I'm doubt the author had much power to fight to keep it correct. And so there were just some points where the AAVE just sounded off and it just didn't read right. Another thing, this one absolutely is the most like personal thing to me. There's a storyline with Zakat where uh, she's having trouble with her parents. Like, first and foremost, after the attack, they're like, you're not allowed to go to college outside of this city. You're going to the city college. Which, like, and I'm just over here reading that, like, okay, so fuck these two. Fuck them all to hell. And I realized during this book, I don't do well with storylines about little family tiffs because I don't have any experience of an adult guardian, anything like that, actually having your best interest in mind. And so, I can't process the idea that this adult is saying these things, is actually claiming these things, is actually saying this because they think that it would be best for Zakat to not leave the town, and they actually think that would be safe for her but you can clearly see they just aren't listening to her, how she feels and stuff like that. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, fuck them. I'm not going to forgive them in this book. I'm not going to forgive them. They can suck a dick. And I actually ended up DNFing another book earlier on for the same reason of like, oh, I will say, the family was actually genuinely just abusive, but I know they were going to go for like a fucking, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I never knew how we were treating you, I love you so much. No, bitch, it's too late. It's too late. I'm fairly certain it was bitch's senior year of high school. It's too late to apologize. Oh my god. And then the last major thing of note with this book is, so you often, all three of these girls, they do not live anywhere near each other. Never mind. I'm not going to list off locations because I only know one's in DC. I think one's visiting Massachusetts for the whole duration of the story. I don't know where Zakat's city actually is. Inglethorpe? No, Inglethorpe is Lulwood. Lulwood, don't know where that is. But Lulwood, Zakat is in like a small, primarily Muslim community. So they're nowhere near each other, and they communicate mostly by Zoom. And I swear to God, nothing is as jarringly done and unnaturally done as these Zoom sessions. Like, these are genuinely the most productive Zoom calls I've ever seen in my fucking life. They literally log on, somehow bounce from one person to another on the exact prime issue they need to discuss, and then log off. They're literally having 3-minute conversations, and it's just so unnatural the way they have it. It's so unnatural. It's so choppy. This just doesn't feel, it just doesn't feel like an actual conversation is happening. It's weird. It just feels so unnatural the way the conversations happen. A note I took while I was reading was the conversation felt a little too to the point. They hit the big topic and dropped it, said one sentence about today's plans, then everyone had to go. It doesn't feel natural. Why are they on Zoom for 5 minutes? Like, it genuinely seems like these conversations would be best done just through a text message, because they're all just getting right to it and getting out. There's no need for them literally to stop everything they're doing for the day to hop on a FaceTime just to immediately hop off. It's very, very awkward. Also, I do want to read off this sentence, because as I was scrolling, in case you didn't know, I have a Patreon, and over on my Patreon, I do a lot of things. I can get more into that towards the end. But one of the things is I post, I need to see this. I post the notes I take for these books. And my notes are starting to get really pretty, and I love it. But I wanted to share with you a couple quotes that I had very aggressively marked out when I did my notes. So I assume past Brianna really, really, really wanted y'all to hear these quotes. Ooh, I forgot about that bitch's storyline. Hold on, we're going to read these quotes, and then we're going to talk about this side storyline. we'll just do this one. Okay, actually, we'll end on this quote. There's also a second storyline in Zakat's story where this chick, who I don't know, I think she's a white girl, who used to live in Lulwood with them, shows up in town because someone in her family had been hurt in the attack, and they come back to Lulwood. And there's like a whole thing where before she moved away, she had like made some bitchy comment about Zakat's head wrap. What was it? But she made a very asshole-ish comment about her headdress. And when she comes back in town, everyone's like, you're still upset about that? Bitch, you have not done jack shit to prove you aren't the same human being. You have not done jack shit to show that you actually gave a fuck how you made me feel. You have not done jack shit to apologize and show that you did not intend to hurt me, that you did not want to hurt me, that you feel bad that you did hurt me. Why the fuck do you, I am so against this world theory that someone should be given forgiveness even if they do not, even if they don't change, even if they're not shown that they are sorry. Fuck you. Let us all, for a second, pause. Let us all bask in the glory of a good fuck you, a good go to hell. People, they're like, it's not a grudge. I'm not holding a grudge. You lost my trust. You have not earned it back. You are not worth my space. That's it. That's where you need to be. That's where we all need to be. God, that's the most irritating fucking thing. I have never been happier in my life. I used to be the type of person who genuinely, abusers would make excuse for excuse after them, and then got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm finally they did something wrong. I forgive them. Let's move on. No, happiest time in my life was like, fuck them. I don't give a fuck what happens to them. Never want to see them again in my goddamn life. Let them rot in hell like they deserve. Please, guys. My people. My homies. My squadron, please. Promise me one thing. Promise me you will not let people back in your life if they have not earned that spot. Time is precious. Your time is precious, okay? I'm a little heated about this one. But, just the way half the characters are all like, hey, I mean, that was years ago. I don't care. If she can show me a human I would be interested in interacting with, sure, then we can work it out. Then we can work on hanging out. But until then, I don't want to be, I don't care. There's no problem. There's no fault in me not wanting to be around this motherfucker. Oh, now let's end it on this very, very beautiful quote, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about my Patreon, I guess, and then dip out. But here's this quote. Okay. She patted my arm and said in a sugary sweet way that only first graders can, that I couldn't be a Disney princess because I didn't look like one. When I went home that day, I threw away all my Disney princess coloring books and told my parents I didn't like the movies anymore. That was when my first dream died. That hurts. That physically hurts. So many, that's the reason why we call for representation in media and stuff like that. That's why, is because we want to be a Disney princess, a superhero, stuff like that. We want to feel like that's just as possible for us as anyone else. And this hurt because I feel that. You have no idea. I cannot tell you how hard I clung to the black Barbie in my set. I had a tub full of Barbies, and one of them never went in the tub because that one kind of looked like me. And so that was the Barbie that was me. And so we always had to have access to this Barbie so I can play, you know? Like this is important for kids to be able to see themselves having these fun adventures and these magical stories all around them, and to be able to see themselves as having that opportunity, as being able to be a part of something magical. And yeah, that fucking quote, literally almost cried. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this book. Again, I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 5 stars because I will probably read this to future children. It's such a cute, it was a good story. It was a really good story, and I think that someone a little younger who hasn't had some of the harsh experiences I have will really enjoy it a lot more. And so, can't wait to read it and share this story on with the posterity. Yeah, next book we will be streaming is going to be Clap When You Land, and then we'll go on to The Monsters We Defy. And at the moment, yeah, I'll let you know how we're feeling about the test. I just started it and I'm not loving it, but we'll see if we continue. As I said earlier, Patreon, over on my Patreon, you get access to the notes that I take for my reading. So you get all these pretty ass notes. See what I like, what I'm thinking, what parts of writing craft I like and stuff like that in a book. Those are parts of my notes. You get early access to my YouTube upload, not the live streams, because I don't think that would work. But you get early access to my regular uploads on this channel and my vlog channel. And my books, I have books. These are books that I wrote. These books are available on Amazon.com, but I do episodic releases on my Patreon account, so you would get to see the whole book as well as behind the scenes before the book is available to anyone else. If any of that sounds awesome to you, I also have like a super secret thing that we're hopefully going to be getting going next week. That's going to be linked down below. Is going to be like my Patreon, my books, my newsletter if you want to be on the forefront of the super awesome thing we're going to be doing. All of that's linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, valedictions, friends.